I am surrounded by cats. Anyway. Hey there, welcome back to You Can Create Art. Okay, so today we're doing a level 2 faux stained glass, because we're not staining anything and we're not using glass for anything, but it's going to look like it, and it's pretty cool. Joining me today for our project is Macy. This is my daughter. She is 12.
Hello.
This is a level 2 designed for 8, 9, all the way up until high school, adulthood. The materials you are going to need today are some construction paper. I prefer black because it mimics the look of stained glass. Some scissors for cutting construction paper. Plain old white glue. Some paint brushes. Good old cling wrap. That's backwards, isn't it?
No.
Okay. And a couple of cups that you can throw away. And of course, the most important part, tissue paper cut into squares. And I'll demonstrate during the setup portion how to cut this into squares quick and easy. For this one, takes a minute, but it's not hard stuff. It's just a couple of different things. So first, hello cup, let me move you. First, we're going to go ahead and cut some squares of our tissue paper. So in order to cut a lot, I just have one piece of each color folded together. I'm just going to use my scissors. No, I don't want huge squares, but I also don't want teeny tiny ones either, because that's just, it's a little too much. So I'm going to cut straight across. You know what, just to have enough. I am going to now cut them all together like this. And now I have a bajillion squares of tissue paper just like that. So let's go ahead and distribute play in them. Alright, little cute tiny terrorist, go take a nap. It is your nap time. You're exhausted. Okay, now the next step is to get your frame ready. Your frame, madame. Now again, I prefer black because I think it looks best. So we're going to cut this frame out. Think like snowflakes, you know, making snowflakes. First, I'm going to cut it. I'm not cutting it, I'm folding it. Folding it in half, as we say in school, hamburger style, because it's like a hamburger. Don't your hamburgers look like this? And then we're going to fold it again into quarters. Now, if you want, this can be as far as you fold it. All right, and we're going to be cutting. So it's really important to remember to lock your cats into another room. To cut on the folded side, okay? So here's a folded side and here's a folded side. If you cut on the not folded sides, you're cutting out your frame. You want to maintain the outside edge, but you want to cut out negative space inside it. Now, negative space is the part where the paper isn't. So there's a couple ways to do this. You can start here. If you want to draw something out to cut, you can. We're not talking shapes, patterns, pictures, any of that. We're just cutting out space. If you want to get fancy, you can fold it again using this fold corner on the inside here as a pivot point. And kind of fold around like that, making like a triangle. Again, that's just going to give more of a center point of outward movement for your frame. We'll let Macy do it that way and I'll do it this way, and we can look at the differences. So now you want to begin just cutting.
Just cut around the edges?
Just cut around the edges. So I just cut the tip off of mine, so that's going to go from the middle. That's folded. Okay.
Can I cut in the middle?
Sure. So we're going to cut. You cutting on a folded side? Okay, just checking. I'm just gonna cut shapes out here
Hey,
just for fun.
excuse me.
Oh my gosh, he's a terror. He's a terror. Okay, you want more negative space than
Hey,
positive space. All right, because the more negative space you have, the more your stain. Starting over. If you're doing my little method here, make sure you don't cut this part that you folded across. That was my mistake. I should have known better, because that's part of the do not cut zone, as you can see. Okay, so yeah, you can unfold yours if you want to. So I'm not quite ready to unfold mine yet since I haven't start over. Okay. I'm just going to keep creating negative space. We want the negative space because that's where our stained glass is going to show. Okay, hang on. And I'm just going to cut a little bit here and a little bit here. So then you open. Yeah, that's the negative space. We want negative space because that's where our stained glass part is going to
Big summer
show.
blowout.
When you get your frame set, seriously, put it aside. And then kick all the cats out. My frame is ready, okay? Macy fixed her frame, and I really love it. It's almost like a flower or something cool. So I think yours is just fine. I think when you're done, you're gonna like yours better because of all that open space in it. So we're gonna put those aside. And now, I'm cleaning up all these bits of black construction. Okay. Now we need to get our glue mixture. What you need is this white glue and just a little bit of water, okay? We don't want so much water that I mean, you can't even really see. I don't know if that's even gonna do any good. We don't want so much water that your glue is like watery. But I have found that the water just helps. I'm just gonna take this lid off. Yeah. Just helps the glue spread a little bit. And it makes it easier. And since tissue paper is thin and somewhat delicate, you don't want to tear it up. Okay? So I'm putting a couple of good plops in there. Yep, plop, plop, plop.
Plop.
And if you want to use a popsicle stick to stir, you can, but I just use the paintbrush I'm going to be using because it's already going to get glue all over it. On that. Okay. And there's a plop of glue. Oh my gosh, my cat. Oh, stir it up. You want it to be nice and homogeneous. You don't want
Like hummus?
No. Hummus is a food made of chickpeas.
Oh, you said
Homogeneous means that it's all mixed up really well. You don't want places where it's mostly water because then your tissue paper won't stick to itself, and that's what we're looking for. Okay, so once you get it all, looks like glue. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Now, the final setup step before starting your creating is some of this good old cling wrap, okay?
Focusing so hard right now.
All right. So then you want to spread this out, which we all love to uncling cling wrap from itself. It's a little too efficient there, cling wrap. Now we get to be creative. Okay. So now you just take your tissue squares. And I'm going to get a little bit of glue on my paintbrush. I'm just going to paint an area.
No!
And there's the cat.
Hey.
You guys just want to be kicked out. We're gonna. He just about fits there. I'm gonna regret this. Okay. Down he goes. And I like to layer the tissue paper. What's important to remember here is that we want no gaps. We want to close all the gaps with the tissue paper. I've got this red one and this yellow one, and I can put the blue in here, hey, and that's fine. But I just got to make sure that at some point I put one down right here to close up the gap between these two. All right. As far as color scheme, it is completely up to you. If you just want it to be like a circus of colors, go for it. If you like more organized looking art, sorry about you. Just kidding. Okay. You know, he's cute and stuff though, right? I mean, he's cute. It's hard to get mad. This is Maestro. This is not Buster. Buster has already had his moment in the sun. This is Maestro. He's our baby. Aww. He's cute, so it's hard to get mad at him. Okay. You just want to go and go and go until you have covered as much of your cling wrap as you can. Okay, so this is probably where I will test out my ability to time lapse. It's really strange.
3, 2, 1.
So I'm slowing it down just to make sure I'm explaining this well. You want to make sure that once you have placed your tissue square down, that you are covering it completely with your glue. All right, that's why a paintbrush is a good tool here, because you want all of it to be glistening with glue. Oh, and see, I folded it there. It's okay. I kind of like it like that. I've done this before with a group of middle school kids. And I had one child in that group, and she was super artsy, so she enjoyed this. And she was super clever, and she actually might have even cut the tissue squares into particular shapes, maybe smaller pieces. And she used the colors to make a design, and the design looked like I think it was palm trees and like a sky with water, and it was really, really cool. And I was like, man, that's a great idea. So I mean, if you're so inclined, don't let me stop you. Don't let my tissue paper mess stop you. There is no wrong way to do this. I say that, and then I'm going to tell you there's a wrong way to do this. It would be wrong-ish not to completely cover all of your tissue paper squares with the glue, and it would kind of be wrongish to not overlap. The better this looks better, the more it's overlapped. So now we're going back into our time lapse.
Hey guys!
What are you doing?
Is that going to be in the time lapse?
Hey, oh my gosh, you pushed a calculator like 10,000 times.
That's pretty funny. Jeez.
So my cat just got up there and stood on the calculator hotkey, and I just had to close about 50 calculator tabs on my... This is math. I mean, math's cool, but this ain't it.
Hard.
So as you can see, I hope, I've covered quite a bit. And I mean, really, it's only been, what, like 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes? I mean, this is a fairly quick, as far as the concentration of the actual creation, a fairly quick activity. Drying time, though,
Not fairly quick.
is not added in. So when I used to do this at my school as an extra activity, the activity would be in the morning, and then the children would leave their work on a shelf or a counter somewhere in my classroom, and hey there, they would have to come back for it at the end of the day. So I'm kind of liking where I've got these yellows and greens overlapping over here, and the occasional blue square just butting in. I kind of think that's fun. I feel compelled to talk a little bit about my inspiration for making this series of videos. I meant to cover that in my introduction video, but my cat was sitting on my cheat sheets of things to talk about. So that threw me. Anyway, it just didn't get covered. So I think I'll talk about that now. So when this whole quarantine hit, my everyday life changed drastically, like I'm sure many of yours did too. Normally, I would wake up, I would go to work at a middle school, I would leave the middle school and go to my second job, which is martial arts instructor. She would go to her martial arts class. After that was over, I would stay and train in my classes because I also do martial arts. And then we would get home, 9:30. That was kind of a normal day. Whenever track season's in, I would stay after school to run with the cross-country team because I'm the assistant coach. So, we're used to being busy. I don't have a lot of time to create normally. So when everything closed down and suddenly I was home all the time, I was kind of looking for something to do to keep me busy. And I've always been an artsy sort. I do like to create art. I like to watch artists. And my mother-in-law suggested doing something like this. She said, why don't you do art lessons? I thought, that's a great idea, but I don't know how to do lessons. So when I think lessons, I think like one-on-one, teacher-student, face-to-face. And I just couldn't imagine with social distancing how to make that work. And so there's this YouTuber that my daughter and I both like to watch. Her name is Mariah Elizabeth. I'm gonna put.
She will watch this one day. Probably not. But
I will put a link to her videos, her page, in the comments. She's funny, and her crafts and art is really good. And she's good. Her videos are good for a binge. If you just want to sit there and be inspired, she's the way to go. So I was inspired by watching her. I was inspired by my mother-in-law planting the seed of ideas. And I also have these friends who have used their time during quarantine to cook, to make cooking videos and kind of cook through a cookbook from cover to cover. And so I was inspired by them using their time productively. And I'll put a link to their video page in the comments as well. You can watch them. I was, thinking of, I've been wanting to do some kind of instructional video for a while, but I'm like, I don't even know, everything's already out there, everything's been done, there's nothing original or unique anymore. I don't know. I also like baking, but that's out there. There's a whole channel just for people who want to cook on Food Network. It's just no. And then I've been creating a lot more art lately that I'm trying to get up and going and for sale. I'll put a link for that. Ta-da! And this idea just came to me. I was like, I know how to do art for young people and with young people because I've done it before as a preschool teacher, as a middle school teacher, as the director of summer camp programs, as the director of various art rooms around the community. I can do this. So I think the biggest obstacle to overcome, which some of you might notice, is my technical skills. But I tell you what, between the cats and all the other interruptions that I'm dealing with around here, my editing skills are going to be tested. So look at that. I have talked my way into almost finished canvas.
Wow.
One more piece. Okie-doo. So now that I've covered some more space, I'm going to get my frame back up in here. I'm going to hold it down. Just kind of see. It doesn't have to cover every square inch because I can do some cutting and adjusting. So I feel like I've covered enough space and I am done. So now is waiting for drying time. Now, do not forget to wash your brush out in warm water. You don't have to use soap But warm water, get there with your hands, get all that glue out. Otherwise, it will ruin your paintbrush forever. And it will no longer be, it won't be a good paintbrush. It might be a shame because it'll be all pokey and stiff, but take care of your stuff. Even if it's a cheapo paintbrush, you know.
It's a paintbrush.
One thing I forgot to mention, I don't like to waste anything. So all this glue I didn't use, I like using a plastic cup because you can kind of squeeze it. I'm just going to put it right back into this glue bottle. Yeah, I know it's got water in it, but you know what?
Water is good for your body.
Switcheroo. Put enough glue straight from the bottle. Oh my God.
Don't want to go
Remember
crazy.
we put the water glue back in here?
Yeah.
It's okay if I overdo it because I'll show you. Just make sure that I cover
You're
all.
going so fast. You're like, ah,
Well, you know, it's nice and loose now because of the
loosey-goosey.
water, and that's perfectly fine. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. I'm going to flip this over. And since my glue is kind of runny, it's
Really
messy.
runny.
But that's okay because you know what? Glue dries clear. And there. We're going to move over here to Macy's. Now, she's doing something a little bit different. Her frame is super cool, but has bigger blocks of positive space, the black. And if you want to right there. I'm going to sit down. Okay. What she can do with hers, since she's got 4 blocks of open negative space that's going to show, she can just cut this into 4 blocks and then attach them to the back. When this has to be completely dry or it won't work, like completely dry. Then, as you can see, the edges already kind of start to peel up. And because you used glue, you should be able to just peel the cellophane away, leaving behind a big like continent of tissue paper squares. It's going to cut right down through here, and then I'm going to cut right down through here. Beep. Same thing on this one. So now we have 4 pieces, and we've got the frame. So I'm going to put the frame down. I'm just going to put a little bit of that watery glue around the outsides of the negative spaces, the open spaces, just a little bit. It's just tissue paper. You don't need a ton of glue to make it stick. There's Macy's. Hers is awesome. Feeling hot mess side, cool mess side. See, look at that. And all I have to do is just trim this excess off if I want to. If I like it there, I'll leave it there. And you can put it against a window with tape, and that really, really looks great. Let's hold Macy's up because I think hers is awesome too. So you hold it up. Woohoo! Look at that. It looks so good. Alrighty. So that is our level 2 fake stained glass craft. Yeah, I'm falling apart. Thank you for joining us, and be sure to tune in for level 3.
That'd be cool. I wish I could make glitter.
Oh, sure, me too. Hi, here I am.